In today's Leeds news, standout stats from the FA Cup win, Perri addresses confidence, weekend results, this weekend's loan watch, Tuchel expected to watch Leeds, and rumour mill stories on Hayden Hackney and James Trafford. Hey folks, welcome to the Leeds View Monday morning. Jer here on the 16th of February with your Leeds United news. Into the next round of the FA Cup. The draw will take place tonight. I'm just going to confirm with stats if we're going to do a reaction to that over on bigup.com. You can check that out later on if you do want it. Also, just to let you know, Leeds United are having a massive clearance sale on the home shirt. There's a link down below if you want to get that. I think it's 30 quid at this point as well. And also, if you're looking for World Cup jerseys, you can check out OK Jersey, who we have an 8% off code with. TView is the code at checkout to use there if you want to get involved in that and help support the channel. You can do all those things. Best way to support the channel, though, is subscribe to the channel or give us a like as well. Now, we've got a bit of stuff to get stuck into today. And as per usual, after a weekend game, we like to start off with some of the standout statistics. There's some nice ones this weekend. We'll start off with Lucas Mecha. Thanks to Andrew Stats Dalton and LUFC data for these ones. Lucas Mecha is averaging a goal or an assist every 101 minutes in all competitions this season. Got 7 goals and 2 assists. Only Erling Haaland, doing that in 83 minutes, has a better rate among Premier League strikers this season. James Justin became the 118th different player to start a game as Leeds United captain in a competitive match, and also became the 68th different player to start a match as Leeds United captain in the FA Cup. Lucas Mecha has been directly involved in 5 goals in his last 4 appearances across 249 minutes, 3 goals and 2 assists. And Daniel Farke has become the first Leeds United manager to make it to the FA Cup 5th round on 2 separate occasions since David O'Leary did it in the year 2000. Lucas Mecha is on a fantastic run of form. Both Leeds free strikers this season have now contributed several goals and assists. They're both in very, very good form. We need to keep them fit, sharp and healthy heading into the back end of this season, especially the run. There's going to be some massive games in. Mecha doesn't do all the things that Dominic Calvert-Lewin does in terms of hold-up play, but the guy's got a finish on him. An absolute rocket yesterday as well. So even when you don't get the hold-up play, maybe the link-up you get from Dominic Calvert-Lewin, you do definitely get the finish when he gets a half a chance. So well done to Lucas Mecha yesterday. Let's move on. Let's talk about Lucas Perri, who had a hell of a game yesterday. This one comes from Kyle Newbold in the Yorkshire Evening Post, and Lucas Perri had a much-needed performance yesterday. It'll go an awful long way towards helping his confidence for the remainder of this season. After some less than convincing performances over the last couple of months, Perri made some really big saves yesterday and did get praise from manager Daniel Farke, who called him a very mature person around the club, as well as Leeds United goal scorers Lucas Mecha, who said that he kept Leeds in the game before he made his save during the penalty shootouts. Speaking to TNT Sports after the game, Perri said the following on his confidence and what it will do for him moving forward. It's always good to have a game like this. The most important thing is to have confidence in myself. It doesn't depend on the result, but obviously it's nice to have a game like this. I hope to keep going and help the club as always. He had a pretty busy day as well in goal, Lucas Perri. It wasn't the kind of normal game that a second choice goalkeeper, as he is right now, comes in and has nothing to do. He was busy throughout the whole game, had some very big saves to make. And between himself and the Leeds United 2 centre-halves and Borneo and Bial, probably had the standout performances in what was a pretty poor display by most of the Leeds United players. Borneo made some very important blocks. Bial won all of his headers and marshalled their attackers pretty well. And again, as I say, Perri made some big saves, but he'll need to show consistency as well moving forward if he does manage to get back into the Leeds United side. Also, there was a really interesting part towards the end of the match. Perri was seen looking at a water bottle with all the Birmingham City players, penalty takers' names and shirt numbers on it. And the issue came that Birmingham were actually wearing a memorial kit yesterday, so the shorts had no numbers on them. So when the players walked up to Perri, he couldn't see the number of the player taking the kick. So his little pre-work that he'd done with his water bottle became null and void. And the player himself said he had to rely on instinct once the penalties happened, because the water bottle became absolutely useless to him. So it makes the save that he did make even better, because he didn't know where it was going to go. And he had to just launch himself at it. It was a great save. Did really, really well yesterday. It was a good game for Lucas Perri. I'm delighted to see him, as we all are. Love to see players coming back from after a difficult spell and having a good performance. He'll likely go back to the bench, and Carl Darlow will likely come back in for the game against Aston Villa this weekend. But, you know, it's good to have players in form. Let's move on to talk about this weekend's weekend results for Leeds United. Start off with the Leeds United under-16s, who had a convincing win over the weekend. They beat Liverpool 5-2. Didn't take long though for Liverpool to flip that result back around and add a few to it as well. The Liverpool under 18s beat Leeds United comprehensively 6-1 in the under 18s clash. Sam Alker scoring the goal for Leeds United. And the Leeds United under 21s game this weekend was postponed due to pitch issues after the heavy rainfall in Yorkshire this week. We will be doing a piece with Jerry McDermott towards the back end of this week, likely Thursday's podcast, where we have a look at ones to watch, the younger talent that's floating around different age groups of the Leeds United Academy and which ones you should be keeping an eye on over the next couple of years. Sam Alker mentioned there, you can see him in the picture as well. A very exciting young number 10 worth keeping an eye on, and hopefully player Leeds can keep hold of. But there's plenty more. We'll get into them in more detail towards the back end of the week. We always like to cover the academy as often as we can, and it's nice to get Jerry in at least once or twice a year to have a chat about that and what he knows with the Leeds United Academy. Let's move into this weekend's loan watch. Start off with Largi Ramazani. He started for Valencia in their 2-0 away win over Levante. Ramazani scored in the 64th minute, an absolute peach of a goal. It was fizzed into him on the edge of the box. He flicked it up in the air and then volleyed it into the top corner to give Valencia a 1-0 lead. At that stage, they went on to win 2-0. And he came off the pitch in the 88th minute. Valencia move up to 14th place in the league. Isaac Schmidt started on the bench for Werder Bremen, but came on in the 65th minute in their 3-0 loss at home to Bayern Munich. No Max Vober, still injured. Mateo Joseph started for Mallorca in their 2-1 home loss to Real Betis. He was taken off, though, in the 46th minute as they changed things around. Mallorca now sitting very much in the relegation zone in La Liga. Harry Gray, no game this weekend. The match against Wigan was postponed. Ruben Lopata-White started and made his debut for Greenock Morton in the 0-0 draw at home to Rate Rovers. Played 90 minutes. Clean sheet for him. Well done, Ruben. Roy Mahady started in Scunthorpe's shock 6-3 loss at home to Boston United. Boston very much below Scunthorpe in the league. Jack Harrison started and played 90 minutes for Fiorentina as they beat Como. Also a bit of a shock result there. Away from home, he played 90 minutes in that match. Played on the opposite flank to Manor Solomon. Devin Brocky, no game this weekend for Cleethorpes. Conor Douglas started on the bench and came on in the 58th minute in Buxton's 1-0 away loss to Chester. And Joe Gelhardt came off the bench in the 64th minute for Hull City in their FA Cup defeat 4-0 at home to Chelsea. Mixed fortunes again this weekend. Still no sign of Max Vober coming back from his third injury this season. So he played a handful of minutes for Werder Bremen. But great to see Largi Ramazani. If you haven't seen the goal, go find it. I've retweeted it on X. I can't show it here because of copyright, but it's worth looking at. It's an absolute banger of a goal. So well done to Largi Ramazani, who's been in really good form over the last couple of weeks. We'll move on. We'll talk about Thomas Tuchel having a little look at Leeds United players. The England manager Thomas Tuchel is expected to attend a Leeds United game before he announces his squad for the March international fixtures. It will be the last chance for players to stake a claim in at least his provisional squad for this summer's World Cup that he will announce at the end of this season. And he's expected, according to a report, to be having a look at a couple of Leeds United players. Dominic Calvert-Lewin is the obvious contender for the England squad this summer, but he is said to be having a closer look, not just at Dominic Calvert-Lewin, but at a couple of other Leeds United players. The report states that Leeds United right wing back Jaden Bogle is also said to be under consideration after some very impressive performances this season. Bogle's attacking ability has been labelled as one of the main reasons for his consideration from Thomas Tuchel for the England squad, and Tuchel may attend the Villa Park game this weekend, but is more likely to show up at Elland Road for the game against Manchester City when there's slightly more tricky opposition. Not that Villa aren't a tricky opposition, the third in the Premier League. The right back position for England is an interesting one. Tuchel said they have options with Reece James, Timo Livermorento, Trent Alexander-Arnold and Jaden Bogle. And some of those players have had mixed fortunes this season, so Bogle could be in with a bit of a shout. Calvert-Lewin has the most goals of an English striker outside of Harry Kane. He's ahead of Ollie Watkins, and Ollie Watkins, who has got 8 goals this year, but he's been scoring them and kind of blocks it too. So not as consistent as Dominic Calvert-Lewin's 10 goals have been this season. James Justin, though, was also mentioned as a potential option for the squad because of his versatility and the fact that he's played in several positions for Leeds United this season. It'd be great to see them get a call up to the England squad. It'd be great to see them left alone until the end of the season and then called up so they don't get injured while they're away. But yeah, it's a big summer for England. It's a big summer for these players. It would be great to see a couple of English Leeds players forced away into the England squad. And Calvert-Lewin's very much knocking on the door. Everyone's looking for him to get called up and he's in form. So yeah, Jaden Bogle as well. Well done. Let's move on. Let's get into the rumour mill territory. And as normal, we'll cover all the stories. We'll keep a note of who's saying what. At the end of the season, we'll put it all together and we'll see who's right and who's making stuff up. We'll start off though with Hayden Hackney. Right, this one comes out of Alan Nixon's Patreon page and claims that Leeds United, Manchester United, Newcastle, Porto and Leeds are all said to be interested in Middlesbrough's central midfielder Hayden Hackney. He's having another very, very good season for Middlesbrough. He's brilliant last year for them. He's been brilliant this season again. He's an England under-21 international, and as I say, he's been in excellent form as Middlesbrough currently sit top of the championship. However, there is a caveat to the story from Nixon, and it does point out that if Middlesbrough get promoted to the Premier League, Hayden Hackney won't be going anywhere. He'll be staying very much at Borough. Now, as it stands right now, they're top of the league, and they're 5 points ahead of third place Millwall. Millwall are third in the championship. Go take a look at the championship league table. It's nuts. That top six this year is crazy. It's a very interesting league as per usual. But Hackney started 31 times for Borough this season. He's got 4 goals and 5 assists for them. Very important player for them. Was very good last season. Maybe last year was the year to grab him. But looking at the teams that are in and around that top end of the championship, if those teams come up, and if Leeds can stay up, it might help Leeds even next season again. So it's an interesting one. The next one to talk about was James Trafford. He was linked last week by a couple of different outlets. Fabrizio Romano's added a few bits to this, and it's not often you get to hear from him because he doesn't play a huge amount of football anymore, but he did get a chance to play in their FA Cup game against Salford, and he was speaking after the game and gave a pretty telling interview at that point. Leeds United, Newcastle United and Aston Villa are all said to be keeping an eye on him. There is a fee of around £31 million said to be needed if anyone is going to get him this summer. But he spoke after the game and he said the following to the Athletics' Sam Lee. I've got a contract, so I don't know what will happen next season. I just know that I'll take it a day at a time and try and improve. Fabrizio Romano, as he tends to do, is also weighed in on this and throwing a bit of a grenade into the situation. He says that James Trafford has told them that he didn't know that Manchester City were going to buy Donnarumma this summer or were even interested in him, which probably would have changed his trajectory. He probably definitely wouldn't have gone to Manchester City. He's another English player, talented young English player that's gone to Manchester City and found himself sitting on the bench and may even lose his place in the England squad for the World Cup. He was very likely to go into the World Cup as probably England's number 1. That's very unlikely now at this point. And again, if you're a young English player in the Premier League, don't go to Manchester City. Just don't. They're ticking boxes. I'd stay away from them as well. But as I said, it's increasingly likely that James Trafford will leave Manchester City this summer. It would be a massive move for Leeds United to try and pull off. It's very unlikely, but you never know. This one's not coming from Alan Nixon. This one's coming from lots of different outlets. But it would be a huge one, especially if Aston Villa and Newcastle have European football next season. I mean, Martinez is expected to move on from Villa. I wouldn't mind Martinez even for a year. And Newcastle are also big fans of James Trafford, tried to get him last summer. So if they've got European football, it'll be a big task for Leeds to try and get him. And the money that's involved in it, it's a lot of money. But we'll have to wait and see. That'll be it for me, folks. Anyway, for today, back tomorrow morning for Leeds News podcast tomorrow night. Also, if you're in Leeds, the football panel on BBC Radio Leeds tonight, myself, I will be on there with them to have a chat about Leeds United's FA Cup games as well. So you can check that out later on if you want it. Outside that, have a great rest of your day. I'll talk to you soon. See you later. Bye.